Welcome to Tzu Chi This Week. I'm Anita Lee. It's good to have you with us. Coming up in this week's top stories, Tzu Chi volunteers in the Philippines and teachers from Malaysia show local educators how to incorporate Jing Si Aphorisms into their syllabus. We join participants at COP20 in Lima, Peru, as they discuss ways to tackle greenhouse gases. Lastly, China's first winter aid distribution kicks off in Hebei's Yi County. Tzu Chi volunteers from the Philippines and teachers from Malaysia recently traveled to Leyte province to show local educators how to incorporate Jing Si Aphorisms into their curriculums. While in Palo, as many students are still having class in tents, volunteers gifted them with Jing Si Aphorism collections in the hopes that the wisdom contained within can serve as a source of support during such trying times.
Dancing to the music are Tzu Chi volunteers and over 1,000 teachers and school principals from around Leyte province. Today, however, these teachers are to be students as they learn how to best bring Jing Si Aphorisms into the classroom.
We want to thank the teachers from Malaysia for cooperating with us here at the Philippines Tzu Chi chapter once again. We hope that the activities today can plant the Dharma of the Jing Si Aphorisms into the hearts of participants.
Although the classes were held at a Catholic school, the school authorities allowed the Buddhist NGO to hold activities and accompany ceremonies as it saw fit.
The most important thing is we hope these classes on the Jing Si Aphorisms can inspire these teachers to introduce them into their school curriculums. This is our main goal. Coming back here, we have seen that in schools here in Tacloban, teachers are now using the Master's Dharma in their classroom management.
Following Typhoon Haiyan, in addition to cash for work programs and housing construction, Tzu Chi has also been busy on the spiritual front, working to spread the teachings found in Jing Si Aphorisms through the donation of Jing Si volumes.
Jing Si Aphorism is a very essential. We all know that we need to integrate and to inculcate values towards our pupils, and this is very vital so that we'll have a happy and very harmonious place to live in.
A year after Typhoon Haiyan, here at Apollo's Central High School, children are still having class in tents. One of the goals for volunteers is to use Jing Si Aphorisms as a tool to give these children the courage to overcome their situation.
It is so hot in here, but the students don't express any sense of dissatisfaction. I have so much to learn from them. I have a lot in my heart that needs to be reviewed.
Receiving this Jing Si Aphorism volume has been wonderful. I'll be a good student and a good daughter.
Typhoon Haiyan left children with scars that will take time to heal. Fortunately, it also brought Tzu Chi into their lives, as the volunteers accompany these children on the road of learning.
From February till April of this year, Tzu Chi distributed over 110,000 children's Jing Si Aphorism sets to children in the hard-hit areas of Ormoc, Palo, and Tanawan. The distribution was the brainchild of Jing Si Books and Cafe COO Maureen Xiao, who was inspired to do something on behalf of this disaster-torn land after meeting 8-year-old Caesar Ponce, who lost his entire immediate family to Typhoon Haiyan. On November 29th, volunteers tracked down Caesar to see how he is doing.
Last year during Typhoon Haiyan, Caesar's family of 5 was swiped out to sea. Only Caesar was to return alive.
During the typhoon, everyone climbed to the roof, but the waves came and the roof collapsed, and everyone was swept out to sea.
While surveying the typhoon damage earlier this year, operation manager of Jing Si Books and Cafes Maureen Xiao had a chance encounter with Caesar.
When Sister Maureen heard his question, she couldn't stop crying and replied, "It's okay, it's okay. You still have a grandmother as well as an aunt and uncle. Many people still love you."
Gusto ko yatin bumalik dito. Namimiss ko na siya.
The scars of that day still linger as Caesar, who once loved to play in the sea, now refuses to go near it.
Ganda mo?
Recently, using an old photo, volunteers tracked Caesar to see how the boy, who was the inspiration behind the eventual distribution of thousands of Jing Si Aphorisms volumes, was doing.
A fire which broke out in Indonesia's Pasar Baru 2 years ago began Tzu Chi's affinity with the local residents there, as Tzu Chi provided aid to the fire survivors. Their care continues to this day, as Tzu Chi volunteers recently organized a free clinic to check up on the overall health of seniors. Let's first join a team of medical personnel from Singapore, Malaysia, and Australia as they teamed up to conduct a medical outreach in Myanmar. A team comprised of medical professionals from Singapore, Malaysia, and Australia have teamed up to conduct a free medical clinic in Bago's Umusu village and Angchang Char district in Tanying Township.
This place is very far out, and I don't see any hospitals anywhere. Even the school is very small, so we feel really good about coming here to conduct a free clinic.
The team of some 80 medical professionals offered services in dentistry, traditional Chinese medicine, and gynecology, among others. Optometrists even prepared over 1,000 pairs of prescription glasses to help those suffering from poor vision.
I can see clearly now. Thank you so much. I can see everything with these glasses. I used to trip and fall over because I couldn't see clearly.
As traditional Chinese medicine is not common in Myanmar, many villagers were initially skeptical at first. However,
His body is really weak from malnourishment. When I was performing acupuncture on him, it stimulated his nerves and he was able to stand up again.
after patients witnessed the results of acupuncture treatment for themselves, it suddenly became the most popular department at the free clinic. Chinese medicine doctors also took the opportunity to educate residents on healthy ways of living.
Before we leave today, we will make sure that they are aware of their health problems. I hope they will take our advice to heart, because if they follow our recommendations, their health can improve significantly.
The medical team served over 3,400 local residents by the end of their medical outreach. Myanmar Tzu Chi volunteers also offered their full support by acting as translators between doctors and patients. 83-year-old Suwani is often troubled by bodily pain.
My lower back hurts when I walk.
Helping address the ailments that confront seniors like Suwani, team members make it a point to hold regular medical clinics in Pasar Baru village. Suwani, who is a regular at the free clinics, not only comes to receive regular checkups, but also to donate her bamboo banks.
Of course, I am happy to be able to practice good deeds. If not now, then when?
2 years ago, when a fire broke out in Pasar Baru, Tzu Chi volunteers carried out a distribution to help the survivors, and to this day, Tzu Chi's care continues there. The main purpose of these clinics is to help the elderly keep old age in check. Leong Hei, a stroke sufferer, also took the doctor's advice to heart.
The doctor told me to give up smoking because I'm indeed a heavy smoker.
This time around, 212 seniors had their health issues addressed. Before leaving, doctors made sure to remind patients to look after their health.
Most people don't know how to lead a healthy lifestyle. Sometimes they know what they do can damage their health, yet they still do it.
The purpose of the free clinic is to help improve the health of seniors here, as well as bring more kind-hearted people together here in Pasar Baru.
Continuing their affinity with this village, Tzu Chi volunteers are ensuring that both the residents' body and minds are being taken care of. The 20th session of the Conference of the Parties to the UNFCCC is currently ongoing in Lima, Peru. Throughout the years, the focus of COP has been to tackle climate change, And this year, participants are working towards a new universal agreement limiting greenhouse gas emissions worldwide, which is seen as the major cause of climate change. Let's take a look.
Here in Peru's capital and largest city, Lima, thousands of participants from across the world gather for the UNFCCC's COP20. It is the 20th conference of the parties, or member states, and this year their biggest task is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to meet the agreed promise of limiting global temperatures at 2 degrees Celsius above the current levels. Peru's environmental minister, Manuel Pulgar Vidal, opened the COP20 acknowledging the sound being made by governments, the private sector, scientists, and civil society to reach that goal.
We have been working and will continue to do so to have a place where voices will be heard.
And throughout the conference, scientists shared the data that drives the urgency and gravity of the problem.
Whilst we deal with the technical aspects of sea level rise, etc., we also show extreme events that have happened in the course of the year. The past is no longer a good indicator of the present or the future because the weather patterns are changing in a changing climate. The average person will experience the worst floods in their living memory or the worst heat in their living memory.
Still, UNFCCC Chair Cristiana Figueres assures participants that member states are on track to commit to a binding agreement for the COP21 in Paris next year.
The governments would not be here, 194 countries, still committed to what is an exceedingly complicated process. So the urgency of action, the urgency of getting to a tipping point, I think has been loudly called for.
Since the 311 earthquake in Japan, Tzu Chi volunteers have given endless support to the disaster survivors. Recently, a group of 26 delegates from Japan's Iwate Prefecture visited Taiwan with a special stop at Daai TV in Guangdu, Taipei. But first, we turn our camera to Tokyo, Japan, to a hot meal distribution in Yoyogi Park for the homeless.
In Tokyo, Japan, Tzu Chi volunteers are loading curry and miso soup into a van for a hot meal distribution for some old friends at a park. Japanese Tzu Chi volunteers serve regular hot meals in Yoyogi Park. However, due to an outbreak of dengue fever in the area during the summer, the park was closed for over 60 days.
For more than 2 months, we stopped hot meal distributions because of an outbreak of dengue fever. But now seeing everyone safe and sound is reassuring to us.
Warming the hearts and stomachs of the homeless, volunteers took a moment to further introduce Tzu Chi.
When the Tohoku earthquake happened, Tzu Chi volunteers visited over 25 regions in Iwate and Miyako to distribute consolation cash to the survivors. In total, over 5 billion Japanese yen was given. Over the past 3 years, that love and care has continued. When the earthquake happened, rescue teams were mobilized to help. But Tzu Chi volunteers still came to the hard-hit areas in Tohoku to comfort the survivors in the shelters. They really follow the teachings of Master Zhen Yan diligently. It's really touching.
Now that Yoyogi Park has reopened, Tzu Chi volunteers can once again look after their friends with ease. Meanwhile, in Taiwan, a delegation from Japan's Iwate Prefecture is getting to know Tzu Chi through its environmental practices with the help of senior volunteer Hong Guo Meiyu.
In the aftermath of the disaster, Tzu Chi gave us so much assistance. This trip is to express our long overdue appreciation.
Finally able to give his thanks in person, acting mayor of Iwate Prefecture, Sasaki Kazunobe, brought with him the mayor of Miyako and other government officials to visit this land, which has given Japan so much support following the devastating 3/11 tsunami.
It has been 3 years and 8 months since the disaster, and with the volunteer support, we are recovering well. Iwate Prefecture and Taiwan will have more exchanges in the future. In other words, with this recovery assistance as a jumping point, in terms of economic opportunities, there is much to collaborate on. The Tzu Chi activities are things we can learn from as well.
A friendship formed out of disaster is one that is hard to break, as the TIMO delegation from Japan gets ready to take home with them blessings from Taiwan and Tzu Chi.
Tzu Chi Foundation's winter aid distribution has officially kicked off in China, with the first distribution taking place in Hebei's Yi County. In addition to the distribution, the free clinic arranged by the volunteers brought much warmth to local residents. Tzu Chi's first winter aid distribution of the year kicks off in Hebei's Yi County. Volunteers set out for the distribution venue at the crack of dawn. However, they encountered some traffic along the way.
We are feeling a little anxious because many of the local residents are already making their way to the distribution venue, and most of them are traveling on foot.
Upon arriving in Nyogang Township, just as the volunteers expected, many local residents had already arrived at the distribution site and were waiting for their old friends.
Though it is cold out, however, my heart is filled with warmth. I would like to express my sincere thanks and deepest respect to Tzu Chi for organizing this distribution.
The bags of rice, cooking oil and other items will prepare residents for the harsh winter. The volunteers' love and care has also inspired local teachers and students to lend a hand during the distribution.
We hope these seeds of kindness can flourish. We should all have a heart of gratitude and give when we can.
血压、心脏是吧？还有哪里想要看的？
Free health checks were also available for local residents.
胃不好。哦。胃是怎么了？胃怎么了？还是胃炎。胃炎呐。
Most of the residents here do heavy labor, so many suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome. However, we lack access to needed medication and we don't have many hospitals here.
To make it in time for the distribution and free clinic, many residents left home early and on an empty stomach. Hence, volunteers prepared some noodles and biscuits for those waiting to be seen. As Yi County was hit by a rare drought this year, Tzu Chi's aid came in the nick of time. The distribution and free clinic was a huge success thanks to the efforts of 278 volunteers. After a long 18-hour day, although tired, the volunteers' hearts are filled with contentment and joy.
There is a light that is guiding us onto the right path. We'll continue to walk diligently on this path.
As winter arrives in full force, temperatures are dropping throughout China. Hoping to avoid the heavy snows in the weeks ahead, volunteers in Yi County held an aid distribution at a school for children with special needs, as well as a scholarship distribution at Yi County No. 1 High School. Let's join the volunteers on their recent visit.
看到这些叔叔阿姨都是哪里来的吗？小朋友们，你们真的好聪明，好棒哦！
For the fourth year in a row, volunteers are here in Yi County with aid for deserving students. The volunteers are a familiar sight for the children of the special needs school and are welcomed with performance after performance. The teachers also present a sign language show on the volunteers' behalf.
The sign language performance was put together especially for this event. It is a way for us to express our thanks.
Later, a poem presented by a student suffering from vision problems has everyone in tears.
As we saw in her poem, even though she has to deal with special circumstances, her love for life remains strong. It was very moving to see.
Moved by the love the children express are both newcomers and old-timers.
在这种环境下。
Here we accept them as they are, and without care, they really blossom. This trip has been wonderful.
Another group of students to receive the volunteer support are these new Shu Scholarship recipients of Yi County No. 1 High School. Back again this year, the volunteers remind the students that they too have the power to give.
After today, I will try to look after my classmates the way you volunteers look after us. I will let them know that although they may face difficulties in life, there are many who stand with them ready to help. Also, I would like to say thank you for the scholarship from Taiwan.
Despite the winter's cold here in Yi County, the love of Tzu Chi is keeping these students warm.
Also in China, volunteers in福鼎, Fujian province visited a solitary senior, bringing warm clothes, blankets and companionship to help her pass the upcoming winter months in comfort.
Arriving at night, the volunteers have trouble getting the senior to open her door, as she first mistakes them for possible thieves.
So dark outside and you still came to see me. Thank you.
Finding that the grandmother has yet to eat dinner, volunteers first cook up some dumplings and place the new winter pants they brought on her bed as she eats. Remembering previous visits, the senior is delighted to finally see a picture of Master Zhen Yan. This senior has lived alone for years, and it has been a very long time since she had such an exciting evening.
In the morning, can you come again and bring a thick mattress? The bed is uneven, so my back hurts.
Although they would love to stay longer, the volunteers finally need to say goodbye. The next day, volunteers are back again with a new mattress, as well as a doctor who recommends a foot bath for Grandma Zhong. Volunteers get the foot bath ready, as well as prepare a lunch soft enough for the senior to eat. The volunteer's heart goes out to the senior, as they realize the difficulties of living alone. However, the senior is not content, as she has the volunteers to talk to and care for her.
You are in Taiwan, I am in福鼎. I hope you live past 100. I also hope the doctor lives past 100.
This is one grandmother that now knows she is not alone.
Moving to the Philippines at the end of our show, after 4 months, the 9th livelihood training program came to an end, and 37 locals successfully completed the course. At the graduation ceremony, the graduates showcased their handmade garments and fashion accessories, demonstrating the skills they have acquired. We leave you with these images at the end of our program. Thank you for watching. See you next week.